we will going to touch upon a different aspect today of a contract management, like what are the roles of the contract manager, what and how he is managing the project and achieving the goal as per the company's target, then different types of the contract, then what are the stages involved in the contract, like a tender, then what are the parts of the tender, components of the tender, uh, then the major industry, that what is the influence of contract in construction industry, and what are the future scope of a construction industry. So accordingly, we can weightage that particular contract part into our portfolio, and according to that, what are the job opportunities can be offered in the current industry after the particular knowledge of a skill set of a contract manager. To start with, as just we have started with the contract management, and this first slide that shows that the person is a contract manager who handles the multiple tasking of a work, starting with the execution, cash flow, and number of things that he will going to handle with his extra skill set of a contract management handling terms. So definitely that project will be ended in a good terms for a particular owner or a customer, or for the contractor also. But there are certain cases where the project was not handled carefully, then it is a firefighting for both the parties. Say example, for owner as well as for the contractor. So the second image is shown that that if you will not handle the project start to end in a proper manner or with the proper skill set, it is disaster for everyone. So to start with, can anyone tell me about what is the meaning of a contract? Okay, no problem. Just I will say that that you must be having doubt that the this contract management, it is very difficult to handle, or do we need to spend some time and money for it? So the answer would be definitely yes, because proper skill set and knowledge and experience is must for the contract manager. And this is continuously growing process or a continuous improvement process, where experience also plays a major role to handle with. So as to start with, what is the contract? Contract is nothing but a written or a written or a oral agreement between employer, engineer, and executor. So your employer is nothing but the owner or a customer, executor is nothing but the contractor, and engineer is, in our terms, in civil engineering construction term, it will be called as a PMC. Yeah, there are chances where the employer is competent enough to not to have with the PMC in the contract, so they will directly do the contract to the executor, where PMC will not be tasked. But this is a general typical funda where the majority of project are having all those three party in a contract. Yeah, so as everyone knows that management is nothing but to plan something, to execute something, and to complete something which is as per the owner or customer demand. So definitely management is the act of getting people together to accomplish desired goal, as everyone knows that. So now to proceed further, actually I would like to show you that what are the responsibilities of a contractor manager. So the start with any owner or a CEO of a company will tell you, being a contract manager of the company, they will give you the project name, details, and everything. The work starts with the tender, followed by the contract, allocation of the time, etc., etc. We have to handle or the carry out the project within desired quality, and definitely no one will going to go in the dispute, because dispute is a major or a vast topic in contract management. We can say that no one, either of the party, wants to go into that particular field, because commercially, financially, as well as your name and fame, everything will be on a sake when you are going for the dispute. But that is also a major part where contract manager has to think that, to in the benefit of the owner or or a company, that if it is going, then how the dispute management has to be handled from their side. So to proceed, that what is to be managed at the site level for a contract manager. So he has to manage definitely six aim related to construction industry: money, material, methodology, machinery, and months and men. So this is all we know. But the management of all this entire, from beginning of the project to mid of the project to end of the project and to till handing over, it is very difficult. Every aspect has its own skill set to handle, own knowledgeable person. Sometimes do happen that that the contract manager must not, maybe not having the correct idea about the methodology. So there are team members inside in the team that they will guide you, they will do the work for you, they will give you the better ideas. So that contract manager has to be very open for the different ideas, and he has to accept it to achieve the desired goal set by the company. So, as I have mentioned that once you will be asked to you will be asked for a certain project. So how you will going to go? So we will take a foundation of a G plus 40 building tower as your project, and we will start as a one step of foundation. So, say example, we will going to plan the foundation, that starting from the scenario that whether that property is clear to start the work, whether that property is having any government issue, do we have the CC to start the work, do we have the proper manpower, do we have the proper machineries, etc., etc. Accordingly, he will going to make a program, and accordingly he will going to manage the different materials to get at the site, and to give a proper progress. But in the meantime, definitely he has to target some bottlenecks. Say example, if we are doing a foundation work in the monsoon, the major bottleneck is nothing but the water logging in the in the excavated area, because that are the major bottlenecks. So try to plan in that way that majorly your work of the foundation can be completed before the monsoon, or you will start after the monsoon. So such a planning gives you the experience as well as the knowledge what kind of works that you will going to target in which season. That everything should be planned in the initial stage better way to identify the bottlenecks, and accordingly we will resolve the issues. And the second most important point, that that how will going to accelerate, or how will going to recover the delay. Because say example, pandemic, no one has considered this pandemic has last for almost 1.5 years till now, and I don't know how it will go further. So such a unexpected things will come and target your competencies. So how that particular things will going to come and affect our project, and how we will going to tackle that. Say example, sometimes labor is also not available at the site. So do we penalize the contractor for that? No, we should be raising our hand to him that definitely we will recover this after a couple of months, let the things get sorted out. It's not about you are so emotional to that contractor and you are giving something. It's just about being a corporate, being a good human being. Also sometimes you have to manage all those particular things and to maintain. So now actually the major crunch here, say example, is a cash flow. So if cash flow management won't be there, definitely executor or engineer will not perform to its efficiency. So that cash flow management, he has to manage the cash which is coming from the sales of the purchase of the flat or something from the owner. It should be planned in that way that no one will be affected, nor owner will be affected due to the work, nor contractor will be affected, so that they will maintain the smooth flow of the work throughout the project and achieve the target as per the desired timeline set by them. So I hope you are clear with this particular complete process of a contract. Actually I have mentioned in a uh, vast wise. So now life cycle of a contract, it will, as I have mentioned, that it is starting with the employer gives the tendering. So now tendering is nothing but the data where everything is compiled, your BOQ, bill of quantities, your drawings, your conditions of contract, different types of data, your payment terms, everything should be there in one thing. That is nothing but a tendering. It called as a tender. We normally use that particular word in our professional language, but that process is called as a tendering. Followed by tendering, the tenderer. The tenderer is nothing but a person who is going to fill that tender for the employer. So there are n number of tenderer depend upon the qualification criteria set by the employer. Tenderer will going to quote to the employer. Followed after tenderer, there is a process called as a bidding. Bidding is nothing but sometimes there is a e-bidding directly L1 contractor awarded their work, but sometimes there are corporate companies, they allow for the official bidding or a virtual bidding, in which they will say that we have this much budget or we have this much timeline. You are trying to convince the contractor will complete this work within this timeline, within this budget, so we will going to award that work to the certain parties. Then the major step is nothing but the acceptance. Acceptance of a contract by an executor is a major point where contractor or executor is accepted every detail every detail aspect of tendering, including technical, including commercial, and he is now bound to do the job as per the tender to for the employer till completion. And that acceptance should be signed by the authorized person from the executor, so that in case of tomorrow any dispute will come, there shall not be any issue tomorrow. So this is a very good note. Tom, Dick, and Harry of a company can sign the acceptance of contract unless it is authorized, then definitely. Otherwise, authorized person for the organization only can sign this acceptance of contract copy. Followed by the performance and the closure. As I have mentioned, that performance and closure is a very big topic, and closure is also a big topic, because sometimes do happen that projects end up with a dispute or some micro detailing or delay, etc., etc. So how you will going to handle that and how you will come out from the project? Being a contract manager, a target is to start and end the project as per the employer requirement, because any delay or anything would be trouble for the organization and itself for the contract manager. So to proceed further, so I have mentioned the 5 to 6 types of contract we used to deal with in our construction industry. So one day a employer comes and employer or a CEO of the company say, example, I would like to establish my 20,000 square feet commercial office, and I don't know anything about what is the engineering aspect of office. I will just give you a number of seats required for my employee. I will give you the MD's cabin, number of cabins required, number of toilets requirement, and everything can be done by a contractor. Say example, starting with the engineering aspect, procurement and construction, then that contract will be nothing but a EPC. Owner will say only that I need this particular office under this requirement, within this budget and within this timeline. Every engineering aspect can be designed by the contractor here. Then BOQ, rate by employer. BOQ is nothing but bill of quantity, rate by employer. So here what happens that detailed BOQ has been given and the rate quoted by employer. Owner himself quote the unit rate for that particular item and arrives at a certain total of the project. So contractor has to agree to work at the same rate, so that they will going to have the contract. So such a contract will be called as a BOQ rate by employer. The third types will be rate quoted by contractor. In this, a contractor has to quote the rate with respect to the BOQ and its unit rate. Whatever detailed description has been mentioned in the BOQ, that contractor is agreed to mention and use the same make of the material, and accordingly he will going to quote it. Fourth one is a lump sum basis. Lump sum basis contracts are, majorly happens same is kind of a EPC, but not engineering procurement kind of a thing. It's a just a requirement has been given to the contractor, and contractor will work on the lump sum amount only pertaining to that requirement. This contract may lead to having a biggest disadvantage is that when an employer wants certain change in the layout or something like that, so that is very costly in terms of lump sum, because your rates have been finalized as per your earlier requirement. Any changes, contractor will charge you more, considering that the same part will be executed by him only. So such a work, it's depend upon how and then what kind of project required for such a work. Otherwise it is better to not to go with lump sum contracts. Next is a job basis. Job basis is nothing but as per the job, just contractor has to quote and has to perform the job. So now turnkey contracts is nothing but design and build. Turnkey contract is nothing but design and build. I'm repeating that. What happens that the complete design of a layout of an office to its execution, everything done by a turnkey contractor. We can say that turnkey contractor, EPC is a part of turnkey contractor, but turnkey contractor cannot be part of EPC contract, because in turnkey we are not going to evaluating the engineering part. We are only doing the design and build, and in EPC we are doing the engineering, procurement, and construction. So cost plus contract is nothing but where as per the as per the terms and the condition or the drawings, contractor has to carry out the work. He has to submit the bills of a supply of material as well as the labor charges, and employer and executor will agree to add certain profit margin on that particular cost. It that contract will be called as a cost plus contract. So cost plus contracts are generally in the terms of a small contracts value, where where the small amount value, you can say, a small contracts can be work under this particular cost plus contracts terminology. The next is a BOT, build, operate, and transport. This is a major contract where majorly we will find this contract in government sector, where 70 to 90% of government big projects are running under this contract. I will give you one example of here, that a Mumbai metro is running by MMRDA, but currently build, operate, and transport by Reliance. So Reliance will operate for a certain period, say around 20 to 30 years, depend on the target customers or depend upon the target travelers and their unit rate. So that period is designed by an third party, or say example Reliance, in such a way that they will going to earn some profit margin after the break even point. So this is a joint call between government and Reliance, MMRD and Reliance, in such a way that they will going to survive or they will going to maintain that property for 20 to 30 years, depend on the agreement. And after 30 years, that complete property goes to the government as a government entity. In this, why government goes to this BOT? Because of the budget constraint and the employment. Example, the bigger companies will take it up the part of the government load financially, and it is a win-to-win situation for both the party, considering the future development of the India. Example, Bandra Worli Sea Link. MMRDA owns that particular project, and MEP contractor is going to MEP has a contract with MMRDA for maintenance uh, and collecting the toll on behalf of government for 20 years. So as I have mentioned, there are different types of contract. So as I have earlier mentioned, that I will just going to focus one aspect today, that is nothing but a tender. So this is the first point where a contract manager has to act upon it. After, once we receive the confirmation from the board of directors or the management that we have to start this project. So this is the first thing that contract manager has to start. So what are the things that, tender should have to avoid ambiguity in the future stage? First, there are three types of conditions: conditions of contract, general conditions, and the special conditions. So first we will start with the conditions of contract. Conditions of contract, in which, everything is mentioned regarding material rate, labor rate, what is the timeline for that particular project, how the project will going to work, what are the penalties, what is the mode of payment, extension and labor compensation, termination of contract. There are different terms and conditions all together are mentioned. And the last that they have mentioned, amount of security deposit. Security deposit is nothing but, amount mentioned which has to be paid by the contractor after allocation of the work, just to ensure that they will going to work as per our terms. This is nothing but a security. After this amount is to be given to the employer after allocation of the work. So example, general conditions. General conditions are nothing but, who is employer, who is engineer, who is executor. So just definition of entire all the stakeholders and the concerned people in the contract, they are mentioning here. And there are sometimes general conditions may have the procedure for claims also, that how someone will claim extra, or someone will claim other things what they have not able to claim into the contract. Say the third point is a special condition or a special particular conditions. So in this is nothing but in addition to the condition of the contract, there are terms and condition that sets out the rights and obligations of the party. This is nothing but to have the rights about their both the parties. This is not mandatory in all the contracts, but definitely we can mention depend on the types and the works of the contract. FIDIC. FIDIC is nothing but an international federation of consulting engineers. They are providing uh, FIDIC is an organization which provides contract agreements, and they are continuously monitoring the progress of the works of a different bigger projects, and they are continuously modifying the contract conditions. From FIDIC, we can identify, depend on the task of the project, we will take out the conditions, and we can fit in our project what are the suitable for our projects. Next is nothing but the specification. Specification is, that say example, if I would like to I would like to start with my foundation specification. So what kind of excavation I need, what is the quantity, how we will going to excavate it. Then specification for RCC, what is the grade of the concrete that I will going to use, what is the grade of the steel I will going to use as per ISI. Example, if I am carrying out a project in railways, so railway standards, that all the materials and specification with reference to the standards are mentioned and to be prepared for one of the part of the tender. Special specification, definitely special specification, like say example, we are constructing one government building, and they will be requiring a bulletproof glass. So this is nothing but a part of a special specification where a special material need to import by the executor from a different countries, and he has to certify it up to their standards and up to our standards, and he has to guarantee that, what are the different needs of that particular specification, and that he has to adhere to that. Bill of quantities is nothing but, a complete detail item wise specification along with the unit quantities, and that quantities has to be calculated with the help of AutoCAD or different softwares available in the market, and that quantities to be very much near to 100% accurate to arrive at the best cost or the best cost of the project. Any deviations in the quantities may lead to extra cost of the project, and that quantities are means should have a detailed calculation, so that someone can check, or a executor will check that particular quantities, and he will question to the contractor that why the quantities has been increased, kind of thing.